Oh, hi.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
I'm sorry. I was just.
Let's try.
Hi. I'm Christopher Sabat, and welcome to the last. I'm out of frame. Hold on, let's try it again. I'll let you. Let me just walk in.
Oh.
Hi.
Perfect.
I'm Chris. Well, you're just like, I'm not even gonna.
Now you have to walk
I'm not even gonna
yourself through
record this anymore. I'm just gonna show him what an idiot he looks like on this thing, and he'll shut up. Like the transition from opera to anime has a couple steps missing. When I left high school and went to college, I got a scholarship at the University of North Texas in opera, and it paid for me to go to school, so it seemed like the most logical thing to do. So I took the scholarship and went to school there for a little while, and then I realized after about a year or two of doing it that I was good at it, but I didn't really enjoy it. There was something about it like that wasn't right. It might have had something to do with my voice coaches telling me, "Oh, well, you need to do the following things: don't go out late, don't talk too much, try not to talk too loudly, don't drink, and don't smoke cigarettes." All of which were a real problem for me in college. And at that time, I went to radio, television, film school out in Houston, and I started working at some radio stations there. And I realized, you know what, this is it. And it wasn't even being on the air that I enjoyed. It was actually reading. It was reading the commercials and reading the copy. I found I really loved doing that. And then I started producing commercials for the stations, and I was like, I even like this more. And because I've always been into sound my whole life, either making music or producing little tapes or things like that, voice. But now the only reason I use any of my opera training whatsoever is when I get a role like Vegeta or Piccolo in Dragon Ball, where they're screaming their butt off, and it's the opera training that allows me to actually scream properly, so I don't blow my voice out. It actually kind of ended up working out pretty cool for me that way. So I'm still fairly lucky because of all the people, it's actually unusual to have a voice as low as mine. So I am really lucky. I have kind of a large genitalia in the porn industry of anime.
Yeah.
So I kind of get work pretty regularly because of that. And I'm a little lucky because I'm fast and I'm experienced, and I do enjoy working with the directors, and I do enjoy the work. So I don't know, competing for roles in anime is like competing for air. There's lots of them, and there's plenty of work to be done. And when I don't ever get upset when I don't get cast in things. I mean, there's been a lot of shows at Funimation I haven't been cast in because a lot of them are like, you know, high school shoujo anime and things like that. They don't have like 80-year-old sounding dudes.
Yeah.
Feel really lucky. I don't know what else. I don't actually want to be an on-camera guy. I don't want to make movies. I love. You know, I like making audio, I like casting voices, and I like making things sound really awesome. Now, if there was one thing I would want to do, I guess, it would be to be able to direct a really epic, long title like Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 5 or 6, although I can't take anything away from it because Mass Effect is so beautifully directed already, but if I could get a large, kind of very voice heavy title, that would be really fun. So I mean, it's really weird. I don't know if I do as well as other people as far as accepting fandom, because it is really foreign to me, and I absolutely love being able to come to conventions because I get to talk about production and I get to talk about some of the fun things I do. But when people get really overly kind of fanish with me, fanboy or girlish with me, my soul just kind of crumbles a little bit on the inside, and And a lot of people ask me to say like over 9,000, or the balls are inert in some of those phrases. But it just feels so weird. And when the times I hate the most at being at conventions is when you kind of just feel like a voice jukebox, and
Like
people
today?
just like it really wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. I mean, I accept it now, but I have gotten the feeling that it was more fun back in the days of conventions when you could say stuff and it was anonymous, or whether the only people who really got to experience it were the people who were physically in the room, and they'd be the only ones to have that story, and you could always say, I didn't say that. But now, when people ask you a question and they come up to meet you, and this isn't in every case, but a lot of people come up and instead of making genuine eye contact with you, they're looking like through their camera. And it's the weirdest thing, and you know that every word you say is going to go, right on the internet as soon as you're done. So I never knew this was exactly what I was going to do. So I didn't really have any childhood idols. I had, there were girls I had crushes on, like Olivia Newton-John, and like the blonde chick from Escape from Witch Mountain. But I know it's silly, but if I would start rattling off names of actors who inspire me, I would be just kind of making things up a little bit. I love. There's lots of voices I absolutely love. Dana Snyder's voice might be one of my favorite voices. Like,
So funny.
everything that guy says, it doesn't even matter, is funny to me. He could seriously read a page out of any of these books, and he would sound funny to me. He's brilliant. And Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he needs to do voice work, because I love his voice too. Yeah.
Oh,
And I don't know, so I wouldn't say I aspire to be those guys, because I could never sound like them, but I love their voices. They're really
That's
rad. Oh, I've always been into music. I've played
Yeah?
piano since I was like 4.5. I was always doing something. I was either if there was music around, I always had it. I asked for a musical instrument every year for Christmas that I could remember. I've always been fascinated with keyboards and synthesizers and stuff, so I got my first like Casio MT40 when I was like 7 or 8, and I still buy a lot of musical instruments. I don't get too hell-bent on, is it exactly what the translation says? I read the translation and I watch the series, but when I'm working on a show, I don't obsess over how close is this to the Japanese, unless there's some sort of question about, is there something that's kind of textually wrong with it or something like that. I like working with actors, and my philosophy of dubbing is not even to worry too hard about even the mouth movements. We try and get them right, but just to kind of tell an interesting story, using that original video as a framework, and using the original story as a guide. But then if I feel like, oh, it would be funnier if I inserted a laugh here, or if the laughing started later, or if I add one small line that's still within the context of the show here, just to fill this awkward gap. I just believe that, like, I'm just trying to help people who are watching this for the first time in English feel the same way that I did when I watched it in Japanese. I just try and get the same sort of feeling without necessarily having to get every line spot on. Dragon Ball Z is a unique thing because I'm trying to make sure that this is liked by people who truly appreciate the genre, but also by anyone who could possibly kind of walk in. Because I think Dragon Ball is such a brilliant story. It's such a brilliant tale that it transcends anime into something that's far greater. It's just a super awesome, epic story. Video games.
yeah.
I love video games.
Yeah?
Yeah, I enjoy anime. I love. I love getting to still work with the actors, but my heart absolutely is in video games. Like my dad was a gamer. He worked for IBM. We always had computers. He played games up until the day he died. Like he loved video games. He wasn't like, and he wasn't an amazing gamer either. He would play like Half-Life and he would save his game every 30 seconds because he knew that around every corner he was probably going to get shot. And I play it kind of similarly. It's just I save every minute. But yeah, I love games. I just finished BioShock 2 and I adored it, and Mass Effect 2, and all these. It's been this summer of amazing games right now. Like everything great is coming out. They pushed Red Dead Redemption back a little bit, but I was looking forward to playing that. Yeah, games are like I'm way into them. I am really lucky, and I don't have an ego about this, but I am so genuinely lucky to be doing this because I've told people recently, if I don't do that much more, I will have already felt like I've accomplished something. Like I feel really happy to be doing what I'm doing now. So, there's the only things I could tell you I'd want to do more of is just more of what I'm already doing. I own a company where we produce, game audio. I get to do voice work all the time. I get to do commercial work, and I get paid really well for it. Like, I mean, considering what it is, I mean, actually, if I get just getting paid at all just to talk is getting paid really well. So I feel really lucky.